With over 800 exhibitors gathering in Las Vegas, Nevada, NBAA-BACE is North America's largest gathering for the business aviation industry. After being forced to cancel the event in 2020, NBAA 21 will simply not disappoint. With unprecedented demand for private aircraft coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the world's most advanced business aircraft are here on display. Suppliers up and down the supply chain are represented here at this event and come together with private, corporate, and commercial business aviation operators from across the industry, all ready to meet face-to-face once again and collaborate in advancing the business aviation industry.
Today we're joined with Shparberg, Vice President of Airbus Corporate Jets. So kind to join us here at NBAA, live at the static display from Henderson Airport here at NBAA 2021. Stan, thank you for joining us today on Straight and Level. Really appreciate you being here.
No, thank you. Really appreciate you guys taking the time.
There are so many positive developments coming out of Airbus Corporate Jets that I think people are not aware of. And one of those is the Airbus Corporate Jet ACJ 220. Came out of Bombardier through your acquisition. It's a very impressive aircraft. Tell us a few of the high points of that aircraft here for our viewers at Straight and Level.
Sure. Look, I think first of all, it's a brand new plane in terms of its designed from scratch. So basically, it's not an old generation that's been reiterated for a number of times. It's a brand new plane, so it's really something that designed to be as modern and as new as possible. The second thing about that plane, which is great, obviously, is the economics. So to give you an idea, with the ACJ 220, we are now going to be entering into the bizjet market. So from an acquisition point of view, you're talking about a plane that's a little bit cheaper than the large jets. From an operations point of view, you're talking about a plane that's third cheaper to operate. And it's third cheaper, so it's kind of counterintuitive when you look at it. It's sort of bigger and it's got two and a half times the size in terms of the cabin space.
Right.
So a lot more comfort, but it's third cheaper to operate because it was designed for airlines, and airlines are the most, tough consumers that you have out there. For them, it's all about economics.
Absolutely.
So you get amazing economics and you get an amazing performance out of that plane. 12 and a half hours of flying time. You can have 19 people on board, and you've got, a range that pretty much covers every city pair out there.
So you mentioned something that's really interesting. You talk about the approachability of this aircraft. I think there's a misconception in the market where people see a bizliner and they don't think it's an affordable aircraft. And from all the information that I have, the 220 truly is approachable. It's operating a third less than, say, an 8X or a Falcon 8X or a Gulfstream G650. Is that the competitive market?
Absolutely. And it is surprising to see that, and a lot of people, as you rightly said, they don't see us in that space, and that's why we actually called it an extra large bizjet. We created a segment. It's not a bizliner, it's an extra large bizjet because it addresses everything that your typical bizjet would, but at the same time, from an economic standpoint of view, you get all the benefits of the platform. The other thing that's pretty amazing, this platform has flown more than 500,000 hours. A lot of the bizjets have not got that under their wing, but because we have, so many planes of the 220s that are flying already for the airlines,
right,
we've got all that sort of, ability to experience and to really nail things out before the ACJ goes into operation.
Well, I know one of the things that you guys have right now going on is the amenities in this aircraft are really unparalleled. And I think that's based on the design structure, the architecture of the aircraft, where you can really change the interior as well as some livery on the exterior that's a differentiator for Airbus Corporate Jets. Give us a little bit of insight into the amenities that this aircraft truly brings to the table.
Sure. Look, to get the economics that we're talking about, you need to have some standardization. So it is a signature cabin catalog. So basically, you have a number of options, up to 120 variations of what you can do. But it's not a bespoke cabin where you decide what you do from scratch, which was typically the case for the normal ACJs. At the same time, you've got a lot of things that are very unique to the segment. First of all, we've got the largest screen that's going to be flying in the bizjet segment, 55-inch. You've got the largest bed. It's a king-size bed, California king-size bed that you're never going to get on the bizjet. You've got a full stand-up rain shower, that's going to run for 35 minutes of beautiful hot water that you can enjoy a shower before you're going to go for a meeting. You've got a dining table for 8. Again, something that you would never see on a bizjet. So there's a lot of innovations, and as I said, from a technology standpoint of view, all the latest and greatest. It was born connected. So we're talking about connectivity of up to 50 megabits per second.
So it really has a whole new generation of hums then.
Absolutely. And then when you go into the cockpit, it's also from a pilot's point of view, it's the latest and greatest when it comes to the technology.
Speaking of pilots, I wonder, Jeff, what do you think about the 220?
The presence of Airbus in Europe is undisputed. Talk to us about Airbus's presence in North America and in the United States.
Look, we're very well present from an Airbus standpoint. I think from a corporate jet perspective, 220 will allow us to be much more present than we are today. Because I think for the US customer, the economics is extremely important. It's also the ramp presence. So I think 220, really nails it in terms of the ramp presence and the economics and mixing the two. I mean, arriving in a 330 as a chairman of a board, you're not going to be looked at so well by your stakeholders or shareholders. But 220 is a perfect choice.
Yeah, I know that you guys have had tremendous success, specifically in the Middle East, in Asia, with these aircraft. As you see to that, where do you see the U.S.? I mean, I think it's probably a little behind, right? Are you guys seeing, or am I wrong? I mean, what's the demand in the U.S. for the 220 in general, or specific? And what about Airbus corporate jets in general? As far as market penetration, do you see yourself as still 50% of market share to gain and penetrate, or do you, because the segment's growing? I think that's something so amazing right now.
I mean, look at the competition. I mean, all the aircraft of our competition are getting bigger. So cabin comfort is something that's clearly, demanded by the customers. They want to achieve that within the right budget, and they don't want to miss out on the range. So when we were designing this plane, we really said, how do we make sure that there's no compromises? Because typically, if you're looking for a range, but you're on a budget, the cabin is going to be really small. If you're looking for a space on a budget, then you're going to have reduced the range, right? Because you're not going to have the range. With this plane, as I said, 5,500 nautical miles. So you're talking about 12 and a half to 13 hours of flying, which is perfect. We did a study in 2019 in the US. We took all the planes that can fly above 5,500 nautical miles, and only 3% of those did that in a year. So most of the flights is a 3-4 hour segment. So people don't use their planes to fly really, long legs. The second thing that we looked at is the cabin space. We said if we were going to be in that sort of category, what would be the real differentiator? And we said we have to be at least 2 times bigger. Well, we're going to be 2.5 times bigger than the largest business jet out there.
Wow.
And then the last one, what we looked at is obviously budget-wise. We have to be competitive, and we came in just under the ultra-long range. So we're just under the Gulfstream 700 or the Global 7500 that we've got sitting here on the static as well.
As we sit here today, the price of crude per barrel is almost exactly double what it was in mid-October of 2020. What are some of the efficiencies and the engineering marvels of the 220 that can help it compete efficiently against some of these other very large present business jets like a Falcon, a Global, or a Gulfstream?
Yeah, look, just to give you, first of all, as I said, it's a brand new designed plane. So we were very lucky to get that platform because it was designed from scratch and it's extremely modern. To give you an idea, a BBJ-1, which is a very similar size aircraft, would be consuming twice the amount of fuel as the 220.
Wow.
And if you look at the similar category in the business jet, you're talking about at least 25% less consumption. Plus, we are constantly thinking about sustainability, different types of fuels, and ACJ will benefit of all the things that Airbus is doing as a leader in the airspace today.
So to go back for our viewers, I think that's a very important point. The ACJ 220 burns 50% less fuel than the Boeing 737-500.
Absolutely.
That is an incredible statistic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Stan. We really appreciate you making the time with the busy show. I hear there's many orders coming in today and this week.
Yeah.
We look forward to chronicling that the next time you're here.
Absolutely. We'd
Thank you
love
so
to
much.
talk to you about it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
It's great to be back face-to-face in the business aviation industry. On behalf of the crew of Straight and Level, a special thanks to all of our guests for joining us live on the broadcast set in the NBAA static display. I'm Hulsey Smith, and until next time, blue skies.